Hi, Local 1660 membership. I'm Chris Hart. I'm running for local president. And today I've got James Lang, firefighter from Station 21. How you doing, man?
Yes, sir. Doing good.
How
Happy to be
long,
here.
how long have you been with the fire district?
I was in 2302, so August of 2023.
Okay, so coming up on a couple of years. Nice.
Mm.
And you and I have had an opportunity to work together prior to you coming to TVFNR. You want to kind of explain how we know each other a little bit?
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to meet Chris and work with him for contract negotiations for Woodburn Fire. They're in local 1660, and I was there in 2021 and 2022. That's where I first met Chris. We were going through contract negotiations, and so I actually got to see him in action.
Yeah, you leave to come to Tualatin Valley mid bargaining?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you and
Yeah.
Mitch Rains went to Clackamas.
Yeah, both of us were on that bargaining team, and yeah, I was like halfway through. I think we
Yeah,
saw those processes timed out, but
yeah, yeah. It's always interesting as a union officer. I've had the opportunity to bargain three contracts outside of TVFNR, working on the fourth with the Air Base with Rocky. It's interesting. It's you got to have a good team when you go into bargaining like that because going down to Woodburn, I know nothing about how you guys operate. I know nothing about the staffing. And just to be able to really quickly get an idea of how things work, it's really important for me to form a team that can articulate that in a bargaining meeting. And you guys were awesome. You guys did a great job. Joe Jacobucci down there does a great job.
yep.
Um, yeah, we were just talking about it a little bit before we started to record about we kind of shot for the moon in that
Yeah,
in that bargaining.
we did.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that's one of the things that really impressed me about you was when you came down to Woodburn, you kind of initially took the time to like figure out how things work down there. Like you didn't come in kind of guns a-blazing, like this is what we're going to do. You came in very much, what do you guys want? Um, and we kind of presented this plan to you that was pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
It was a pretty big ask.
Hmm.
Uh,
What was
and
that asked? Do you remember?
yeah, it was a 42-hour work week. It was a straight up D shift.
Yeah, and you guys were at 56-hour work week.
Yeah.
So it was.
Ellie, we wanted to go straight to 42, and we had a plan that on paper looked pretty awesome and would work. And I thought we had it like pretty well thought out for that size of an organization. Um, and that's kind of what the membership wanted. That's what we were going to go for. That was going to be our thing. And I mean, I remember in like the pre-meetings before you got there, it was kind of like it's either going to go really well or it's going to go really bad. And I was impressed when you came down and we pitched it to you. Like your attitude was like, screw it, let's do it. Like you like you came all in, like, yeah, let's go for it. Um, and you fought really hard for something like that like ultimately wouldn't have affected you, right? Like you're not working under that specific contract. So I thought it was pretty great that you came in and fought pretty hard for that for us.
Yeah, and I think the way that we approached it was the fire chief almost wanted, and there was a sense with the membership, right? It was just kind of a revolving door. There was
Yeah.
nothing trying to keep people at Woodburn, and there was so the approach was to the fire chief, like, if you guys want to have a workforce that's going to be loyal and stay here, you guys need to be out there as number one in the state for something. Like
Right.
that's kind of where we got to be. And it was interesting when we put it up on the whiteboard about how we felt that they could do a 42-hour work week with the staffing. It actually, fire chiefs kind of took a pause, and even the assistant chief was like, well, that'd be pretty cool.
It gave them something to think about for sure. I
Yeah.
mean,
Ultimately, at the end of the day, at the end of a few days, Yeah, the fire chief just wanted to be able to staff that second station, so it wasn't going to happen. But we did make it clear, like, hey, we're going to go for this, but if we can't agree on this 42-hour work week, then we're going to start over, because I didn't want to go all in on a 42-hour work week and then kind of miss out on other things because we were trying to do that. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it was either a 42-hour work week, or you guys just wanted to stay at 56 and just get more time off, rather than, because you guys weren't really up for going for Kelly days. You'd rather just go for PTO. So,
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, at the end of bargaining, which we did go beyond the end of the contract, I think we ended up wrapping it up like in October or something. I can't remember what it was, and everybody got retro pay. But yeah, we ended up getting a pretty decent contract. I can't remember exactly the details, but yeah, I mean, it was all credit to you and Joe and Alex and Mitch, just, at least kind of prepping me for the speaking points and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of when bargaining for the outer shops, that's kind of the key, right? Is just being able to turf some of those speaking points to you guys, or at least you prepping me before the meetings. And there was some animated meetings. There was some meetings that were cut short because, people stormed out of the room. So it was, it was fun. I had a good time bargaining that contract. So,
yeah.
Well, what else, man? You've been with TVF&R for a couple of years. I guess since I'm running for local president, I guess kind of one of the things would be, what does it look like from your point of view for being here for a couple of years, and what do you look for in a union president, and what do you think other people within your work group, meaning people that have been with TVF&R from like 0 to 5 years, what do you think that they're looking for in a union president?
Yeah, I think in that kind of that range of employee, that 0 to 5 range, I think people are going to want somebody to come in who's enthusiastic and a go-getter. And something that's, important to me and other people that I've talked to is somebody who's just a straight shooter. No BS, say what you're going to do and then do it. And just kind of going back to that experience with you, that's pretty much what I saw. Like, from the meetings with the district to the meetings with just us, like, you're pretty much a straight shooter. You didn't play any games. You didn't string us along. That's something that I really appreciate. I think other employees appreciate it when, somebody can just talk plainly to you and tell you what they're going to do and then do it. I think something else, that's kind of on everybody's mind right now is contract negotiations and what that's going to look like going forward, and, kind of what the path is going from here, especially with all the changes coming with D shift as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, that's good. Yeah. While I might not be the most enthusiastic and gregarious guy out there, I definitely am a straight shooter, right?
Yes.
I definitely put in the time and energy into the job as vice president. I'll put in time and energy as a job as the president as well. It is a double-edged sword when you talk about being a straight shooter, because you really have to be able to articulate yourself in a way that you're not going to piss people off. Because I've been doing this job for a long time, and I certainly have pissed some people off along the way, because sometimes I am just so straightforward that they're not prepared to hear the truth, and sometimes the truth hurts depending on how it's delivered. So I certainly have grown, and maybe 15 years ago, what would be construed as passive aggressiveness is now just more along the lines of just speaking the truth. So I have certainly gotten to the point that I have in being able to learn about myself and how to talk to people, because I do know that I can give off bad first impressions, and I know that I give people probably 4th, 5th, 6th impression, because I know how I can come across. But sometimes it's just because I am so blunt and straightforward that's just kind of the way it is. So, yeah. Contract negotiations. What do you want to talk about there?
Yeah, I think something that's, on everybody's mind is, or at least, something that I kind of hear folks talking about is what does it look like what we're going after, right? We're
Hmm.
getting D shift in January. That's pretty big schedule change for everybody. There's going to be a lot of movement. Um, I think there's a lot of unknowns with that,
Hmm.
where people are going to land come January, how it's all going to work out. And so I think people want to see, a union president that's going to be pretty on top of all that. And, with any big schedule change like that, to an organization our size, I'm sure there's going to be little things that kind of get forgotten about along the way,
Hmm.
or things that maybe get overlooked that could affect some folks. And so I think people are going to want to hear kind of, what does it look like going forward? How are you going to be like vigilant about that, and look out for the membership with big changes like that?
Yeah, that's great because we're kind of going through those changes right now, right? Captains are trying to figure out staffing of their stations. I think I think there's a few things, right? I think both labor and management, I would hope the members would give us a little bit of grace. Because it's difficult to message this. It's difficult to communicate this. There's maybe been some miscommunication or lack of communication. Um, and I'm not going to put blame on any one person, but it's hard to communicate stuff like this. As a union officer, we've got a thousand things going at once, right? So if we don't, sometimes we just don't know what we don't know. And I leave it up to the membership to talk to us about what the issues are, and then we can make the issues ours and go back to management and talk about it. One thing I would say about D shift is that it's going to be a monumental change and uncomfortable for a lot of people. And we're not going to be able to know what kind of changes we need to make to accommodate this until we're going through it. So there's going to be, I've already told people, like, we almost need like a full calendar year to be able to look at it and be like, okay, didn't see that coming. That's a positive. We need to make some changes here. And I don't know if it's like trade policies or 521, all that kind of stuff will be affected. And we really won't see an understanding of kind of the effects of it until a full year. So I think just give us a little bit of grace and patience, but make sure that we're informed as union officers about your concerns when it comes to D shift. Because it is a huge change. And we're all going through it together. So, back to contract negotiations, I will say, for those of you younger members that haven't been part of a bargaining before, is we will put out a survey to the entire membership, and I don't know how the survey is going to be structured, but it'll probably be this fall, just to kind of get an idea of what people really want us to try to go for. Whether it's wages, time off, healthcare, all that kind of stuff. And you'll be able to rank what you want us to focus on. And so at the end of that survey, when we get everything back and everything's tabulated, if wages are number one, then yeah, we'll go for wages the most, right? If maybe work week is number one, then maybe we'll have to whittle down the work week at the cost of some wages. And I'm not saying that we're going to, just get no increases. But when the membership kind of gives us our marching orders, then we can go forward. But because you've been part of it, things change, and bargaining is so dynamic that you can start at this point, and to get to the end point. I mean, it takes so many different twists and turns along the way sometimes that it's difficult to really predict where we're going to be and what we're going to go for. I mean, sometimes, you can say we're going to go for wages, but then all of a sudden you're like, well, shoot, now we're going to have to kind of give up a little bit on wages to be able to make sure that that we're secure with our healthcare, stuff like that. So, but there will be an opportunity for people just kind of express what's important to them, when we're going into bargaining. So, yeah. One thing you did mention before we started to record, which it'd be interesting kind of have that conversation is, as a younger member, you kind of hear about the glory days of TVF&R.
Yeah.
And maybe some older members that are a little bit more, I don't know what jaded is the right word, but might be like, oh man, we're not what we used to be.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of, which is unfortunate because I think we also talked about when we first met, you had asked me what TVF&R was like. And do you remember what I said?
Yeah. I mean, you had nothing but positive things to say about TVF&R and that was really awesome just to hear that perspective from somebody who also came from a different department going into TVF&R.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was ultimately one of the things that made the decision to apply and go through the process like pretty easy and stress-free, was knowing that the people that work there typically have really, really good things to say about it. But I think, going back to kind of, younger membership looking forward, I think they're looking for that kind of identity. Like, yeah, I want to look at our union, our local, our department going forward and carry on that legacy of like, yeah, we're TVF&R and this is what we're about. I think everybody wants to be excited about the future and what that looks like. And I think that's something that's pretty like I say, pretty positive things about you with that. Like, you do have great things to say about the district. You care about the membership. I, saw that firsthand. You care about the outer shop people too. You came down and negotiated really hard for a contract you weren't going to work under. And I think that, kind of speaks to your character. And I think that kind of speaks to how you're going to lead the local going forward, right? Like you're all in for it.
Yeah, I appreciate those kind words. I did not give James a script, so just so you guys know, this is all appreciate the kind words.
Gun in my head. Just straight from me.
Well, I mean, I will say, yeah, TVF&R is awesome. Could it be better? Yeah. But a lot of that is the control of the fire district. I mean, I can lead the local however I want and hold the fire district accountable and give them some perspective and some opportunities to maybe make the fire district better, but it's up to them to be able to make it better, right? I mean, I can give our membership a mission and a vision of what we're going to do going forward. I think in my little slogan for my campaign is, lead with ownership and unite with gratitude. And I spoke on it in the letter that I put out a couple months ago, is that gratitude isn't just like unite with gratitude, like towards each other, which is key because we want to have a workforce that's happy and enjoys working together. We're not going to like everybody, right? But at least have that professional respect for each other, which is good. But man, most importantly, I think it's almost have that gratitude for your career, because this career is so difficult. I mean, I've been doing it for 24 years, and every day I go to work and run a call, there are times where I do have to remind myself how grateful I am for this career and this job, because I mean, my wife, we've been together for over a couple decades, and she's changed jobs several times, and to be able to witness somebody losing a job or leaving a job and trying to find another job, it might be in a different field, all that kind of stuff, and reminding myself, man, I'm just glad that we have such a secure job, is something to be grateful for. And I talked to the recruits about this, is take pride in the fact that you're a professional firefighter. It's not just a sticker on the back of the car, right? I mean, our job is so important that you can't go home until somebody is there to take over what you're doing all year round, right? You work at Intel, you call in sick, your seat's just going to go empty and the work's going to be there for you the next day. But our job's so important that if you call in sick, somebody has to do it. And just to be grateful for that your job is so important. is a perspective that I think we all need to have, because sometimes, I mean, I'll be straightforward and honest that, I mean, just the other day, we left a call and I looked at my crew. I said, man, compassion fatigue kicked in so quickly on that. Like, I literally walked up and I was like, I checked out. I mean, not checked out, but you know what I mean? Like, you walk up and you're like, oh man, I can't believe we have to do this. And I don't like that. But we're all humans, and we've been, and it's going to happen. Right. So I guess being able to be there for each other, and if you do see people kind of having that compassion fatigue or getting down, just remind each other that, all these shops in our local are all great places to work. Hoodland's got a great contract. Woodburn's got a great contract. They've all got the same type of people working at them too. They all might have a little bit different culture, a little bit different staffing, a little bit different dynamics, but we're all the same people. We're all the same professional firefighters, and just to be able to be grateful for that, and just remind each other of that every day. If you see somebody getting down, just try to remind them, like, hey man, we have days like this, but man, just remember how grateful we are for this job and this career, and no matter where you work, it's a pretty damn good job.
Oh, absolutely. It's something to be grateful for sure.
Yeah. Back to the glory days of TVF&R, which people refer to. I try to remind people, like, I got hired under Chief Jeff Johnson, and he was great. But I would love to look back and see how many line members we had at that point in time. We seemed a lot smaller. We don't know everybody anymore. We're just so big that we're just different. So it almost feels like comparing apples and oranges. It's similar, but not. So I think some of that identity gets lost over the years as you grow. And how do we try to kind of hold on or get a different identity, get an identity? It's funny. I've heard people say, like, oh, we don't have any tradition. I'm like, wow. Oh, that's not cool. Like, I feel like we kind of have some tradition, the same as any other fire department, I suppose. We still, eat dinner together. We still, we have a retiree banquet. Maybe we just need to do more things together. Maybe we have 3 or 4 events during the year instead of 1. And then maybe we can all kind of come together more often, something like that. And then maybe that'll kind of help kind of create some sort of identity. But I know that as leaders of the local or as the organization, we can provide some vision and goals, and a mission to be able to provide an identity or provide some kind of just a reason, right? It's funny. Yeah. I record a podcast with a retired firefighter, Todd Newman. We do a golf podcast, and we just recorded yesterday because the British Open, or the Open Championship, is starting. And I was listening to Scotty Scheffler. Some of you might not know who he is. He's the number 1 golfer in the world. Pretty big deal. He's won a ton of tournaments, but he gave a speech at the media conference, media speaking engagement conference, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. Press conference. That's what it is. But he talked about, he's struggling because he's trying to figure out what's the point. I win a tournament and the celebration lasts for a couple minutes, and what's the point? And what's the point of all this? I worked my whole life to be a great golfer, and here I win, and a couple minutes, it's over, and on to the next week. And it was really, really actually kind of sad for me to listen to, because it almost sounded like somebody that was almost kind of done with their career. Like, didn't really sound like he had a whole lot of meaning. But he was also referring, like, I'd rather be a good husband and dad than a good golfer. Like, that's where I want to focus. And I get that. But I guess, maybe there's a point in our careers too that's like, man, what's the point? But if we can kind of provide that for all of our members, like, here's the point. And I'd have to put some real thought into it about how to articulate what that point is, because I just don't want to make it up on the fly on this podcast, because I just literally like was thinking about this and Scotty Scheffler yesterday. So if we can provide through a vision and a mission of answering the question of what is the point, I think is huge. And I think that's something I'm going to try to work on and articulate and hopefully come up with some sort of vision or mission through that. So, sorry, I kind of went off topic a little bit talking about golf, but it was kind of something fresh in my mind.
I love that. I think that would be really good for the younger membership going forward, right? Give us something to like kind of latch onto.
Yeah.
And feel like we're a part of something that's pretty special, because we are.
Yeah.
Right. And we're not in the TVF and our glory days of the past. We're in today's glory days, trucking forward, right?
Yeah. We're pretty damn awesome, though. We got 4-person staffing. We got probably the best leave policy of any. I would probably put it up against any department in the entire country. We're very well compensated in wages, comparatively speaking. We're doing pretty awesome. You can't go to any fire department in the country and just be like, you know what? I want to go work on a truck in downtown Beaverton, or I want to be part of a specialty team, or, I just got hired on by one of the best fire departments in the country working as a single role paramedic. Like, there's not departments out there like that. They're few and far between that provide so much opportunity, so much so that when you get further along in your career, you're talking about body preservation. You can't just go through the grind of 7 years in a LOA. I'm the captain at 58s now. It's amazing. The call volume is not as much, but man, I've found a renewed energy for the career, because I grew up right down the street from 58s. My kids go to Westland High School. I graduated from Westland High School. I live 4 miles away from that fire station. I'm running to work. I'm running home from work. It's kind of renewed me. And certainly the body preservation is huge, because, while I was in my 20s listening to people in their late 40s, early 50s bitch about what hurt that day, I kind of laughed, but man, I'm there, and it's a real thing, So, yeah,
no, I think that's good perspective, and that's something that everybody can kind of appreciate about TVF&R. Is it doesn't matter what you're looking for. You want to be on a truck, you want to be on a specialty team, you want to be on a really busy engine. You're closer to the end of your career, and you want to go somewhere a little bit more relaxed. Like, it's out there for you, and there's no real hurdles to achieve what you want to achieve. I mean, I have been at the department for less than 2 years, and I'm on a truck company. Like, that's a career highlight for me. And I think you're right. I think there's probably no other department that I could go to as a less than 2 year employee and be like, I want to be on a truck, and have people be like, yeah, shoot for it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think I would have heard like, yeah, back of the line, dude. Like, there's a lot of people that want to be on trucks,
For sure. and I think a lot of that, though, you have to be your own advocate. You have to build those relationships, right? And be able to. I mean, you put your time in on a rescue, though, too. So you're transporting as a paramedic for TVF&R for probably the last year and a half, right? I mean,
I did about 6 months.
Yeah, and it all depends on the time, but we all go through that, right? And even with like Rescue 5-4, if you promote to lieutenant or captain, you're going to be doing that. So there are some kind of downsides to certain things, but man, at the end of the day, if being on an ambulance is going to deter you from working at TVF&R or promoting, then man, you should probably change your perspective, because that's part of the job that's so important. And single roles are playing a huge role in our organization, and it's just going to get bigger, because if we street any more units, we're probably just going to street a lot more ambulances to be able to help bring the call volume down, or not call volume down, but just share the workload, right? And that's one of those things. I hope now that we're on the backside of COVID, we can start seeing just some of these paramedic programs putting out a lot more paramedics, because those are the people who are going to be hiring. And it's such a good part of the job too. I transported for years before I got hired here. I transported on Rescue 5-4 for several months after I got promoted. And it's one of those aspects of the job that I certainly like to do and appreciate it. And that's also part of our identity, is, we embrace that workload. We embrace that job, that work group. And again, it goes back to, as the local president, I don't know what I don't know. And I know there's several people within the single role work group that will hold me accountable, and I have certainly told them to. So, yeah. So, well, what else you want to talk about, or maybe just kind of wrap up, or you got anything else?
Oh man, I know we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we did. That was good. Half an hour. It's not bad. Flies by, huh?
It does.
Well, I certainly appreciate your time, James. And, like I've said all along, to everybody out there in the membership, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. I kind of have a informal rule within myself that I try to get back to everybody. If you call me, if you email me, if you text me, if I can't get right back to you, I will certainly try to reply to a text, or with a text, and just say, hey, I'll get back to you when I can. I'm busy right now, but I certainly want to be accessible to membership. So again, we don't know what we don't know. So let us know. So
love it.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.